but interviewing folks on the street in Denver, I met a lot of people who have like no ID.
No,
You run into that a lot?
I've only lost my ID once. And it took me a while to get my ID, like dumbass. I was in Arizona for like freaking 2 years and decided not to get Arizona ID. I was stupid. Since then it took me like a month to get my ID, so I couldn't work for a month. But to be honest, the ID thing, most of the time, they're just stupid.
Tell me about it so I understand it. Who's
So-
stupid? What's the ID thing?
So a lot of times people are just, they get drunk or acting crazy. They either have some mental issues or different stuff, so they're losing their stuff all the time. But in all honesty, it's actually pretty hard to lose an ID. If you got a wallet, and most times it's even hard for you to lose a wallet because most times you'll notice when your wallet falls out. To be honest, it's pretty hard to lose that, right? At least if you're a guy in your pocket. But even then, like a lot of times with a woman, even then they don't really ever leave their purse. I guess unless they're doing something, either they're crazy, have some issues, or they're drunk. But I would say a lot of times, and in all honesty, they lose everything. It's not like it's not like a huge ID problem. With most people, it's just people who are on the streets, a lot of them, because a lot of them are like schizophrenic, right? So they're always losing stuff. There are a lot of people, there's a big majority of people like schizophrenic on the streets. So, and they're all, trust me, I know someone, she's a little crazy, but she lost her ID, she had Social Security, she lost it like 10 times. She never can spend her money, she spends it all at once because she can never keep track of it. She needs like someone to take care of her, but one, she has to pay for that. You think she's gonna pay for that? You think she's not responsible enough to pay for that? She says she wants to get a place, but she's not gonna get a place. Because she's buying $500 worth of food. Takes over like half her check. Next day she buys like another $500. She didn't eat it most of the time. So it's like, it's unfortunate, but that's, there isn't really any help for those people, so. Just the best thing they can get at is an out of jail free card. A lot of times that's about it.
So I want to ask you this question again. I think the first time we hung out, I asked you this question. And I don't think you gave me a good answer. Like straight up, and maybe it's because there is no good answer.
Mm-hmm.
But what should people in Denver do for somebody like yourself or somebody even worse off who is like out on the street?
Well, it's an easy answer, but people are greedy, so it's a hard solution because people are greedy.
Put the question in.
So, what was the question again? Just so you can.
What should Denver do to help somebody like you?
Denver should help people who are homeless. No, that's not a good way to put it. People who are homeless in Denver should be. I think they should be helped. No, I can't think now. I think Denver should help homeless people by honestly just building up more housing for people who are homeless, or building more connections with landlords. And just, I don't think they should give people money because they're doing a program that I thought was stupid from the start. The university spent a ton of money to give like a ton of homeless people like $1,200 in a year. In all honesty, I would have used it responsible, right? I would have used it to get a car. I would have used it for this. But unfortunately, no one's really doing that. Because most of the people are either on drugs, so they're doing that with that money, they're buying drugs most of the time. Or they're schizophrenic or something, they're not gonna be responsible with that. Right? They're gonna spend it on food, a lot of different stuff. And so I don't really think there really is a good solution. I think the best solution is to build housing, but unfortunately people are too greedy to really just make free housing for those people. But and not even for me, I don't want free housing, no. rather just be busy all the time, having to, be around different places. No, I don't want to forget them. Nah. So I don't want the government in my business. That's the government in my business. But I do think for certain people who are schizophrenic or do have a lot of mental issues or do drugs where they can't make their own decisions, they shouldn't be on the streets. They should be in housing. I think they should at least have that option. I think a lot of them would take it. So I just think they need more housing for a lot of the homeless community and just put them in, give them that option.
What worked for you in Denver this time, and what didn't work for you?
Like how I got in housing?
Yeah.
Should I look at the camera or look at you?
I'll come right here.
Okay. What worked in, so what really helped me in Denver was honestly case management with Urban Peak and them helping me get housing. The problem with that for a lot of people though at the same time is they don't have the responsibility, they don't have the ability to be responsible a lot of times. Like we all have our moments, but like they're not willing to work, they're not willing to do that. And so for those people, you need different solutions. But for me, it works because I will work. I don't like to work at a job consistently, like the same job, like do a lot of different jobs, but I can work and work 40 hours and enjoy it for at least normally a couple months, 3 months. Sometimes I even worked a job for 2 years, and I could do longer, but I didn't do too. But I didn't do too well after management changed. So there started to become issues, so I left the company. But like it just depends. I'm one of those people. I've had a hard time finding jobs where there's a lot of different tasks. Because of my ADHD, I really struggle with doing one job. Like easy work of doing one thing for me isn't easy. I go mentally like insane. So my mind wants to do this for 10 minutes and it wants to do this for 10 minutes, right? And unfortunately, there's not a lot of jobs they have like specialties. You may do something a little bit different, but it's too close to the same thing. And that's what I really struggle with. Like I worked at a company and this is what I did really well.
We've talked about that company out in Seattle where they trained you up on a bunch of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You're leaving Denver today.
Yeah. Sorry, did I go really off topic with that?
That's alright. But like, I gotta ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want it to come off and you holler when you're ready.
Stand by. Reset the gimbal real quick.
Yeah. I don't want to come off like a dick. But like, you told me that you're gonna walk away from this with like maybe $3,000 in debt, and you're jumping ship on this spot.
Yeah. That
they kind of helped you get.
Mm-hmm.
You about there?
Set.
If this isn't a fail, tell me why. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's not a fail. It's a success. Right? How I'm ending may not have been the best way, but right. I came here. I learned about myself. Right. I figured out where I want to be. I also was reflecting on myself and thinking, why do I struggle so much with being in place consistent? Because I really do. I'm not gonna lie. It's not because I'm crazy. It's not because I'm dumb. It's not even because I'm not responsible. And I started thinking about all my past and all my different situations, like where I worked, how I living in 5 different houses in California. Technically, we could count 3 if you consider I was in Washington State. I was homeless, camping for a time. I was camping, right? And then in 2 different houses, if you want to count that. I'm getting there.
And I'm like, listen, I'm not trying to be hard.
No, you're not being hard. It's actually a very good question.
Like all the things, like the jobs, and they found this spot.
Yeah.
This is like a sweet apartment.
Oh, it is. I'm not gonna lie. What I learned is I don't want a sweet apartment. And it's just because I don't care about having a nice kitchen. I don't care about any of that. I'd rather have friends with memories. And to be honest, yeah, friends come here, but it's like we don't even really hang out at my place that much, where it's worth it. And so it's cool. I got nice stuff, for sure. But some people don't care about that nice stuff. I thought I did. But to be honest, I don't. Because you can have all the nice stuff in the world, but at the end of the day, right, what are you able to go out and hang out with friends, or are you just sitting alone in your nice apartment looking at the sky all alone, seeing all these people hanging out with friends, and then you don't have time, 'cause you're working all the time? You know?
So coming back around with what you said, does homelessness in Denver need to be fixed?
Yes. It needs to be fixed everywhere though, but unfortunately there isn't really a good solution. There's a way to fix it, but unfortunately how the world works and it can change a little bit.
Tell me what it is.
How to fix Denver?
No, what is it? Like, you keep telling me it is this and it is that, but what are we talking about here?
They need to build housing. They need to build more housing for the homeless community and put them out. It's that simple, right? But they gotta build it. They're putting money and giving people money instead of building them houses. Because when you can put someone, for a lot of people, in a house, right, it's gonna be easier for them to work. Some people it's not. For me, it's easier for me to stay in a place for 3 months, work, go to another place, work there. Because that's me. But a lot of people, most people aren't like me. Most people weren't raised like me. Most people do better with stability, right? Stability looks different from people, but to be honest, just put them in housing. Or, simple as this, just give them housing. Don't give them free phone service. If they get housing, don't give them free food stamps, right? That's a luxury, right? But give them the basic necessities, to be able to always take a shower, do all that, right? And then everything else, right? If they get food, they gotta work, right? You could shut down all the food banks. You need to not supply here, but supply here. You know, so they need to redirect a lot of the services.
I don't understand.
So we spend a lot of money on giving people free phone service, right? We spend a lot of money on food stamps. We spend a lot of money on food banks, right? We need that, 100%. But we also need housing. So you gotta also realize what realistically is better. I would say, to be honest, housing is way more expensive than food. Get them housing, right? Put them in housing. They gotta figure out their phone service, right? They gotta figure out they don't have food stamps, right? If they got housing, they don't get food stamps. They don't get any of this, right? Because guess what? All that money, what they're not getting, is going in to pay for their housing. Redirect that money, because in all honesty, I think people should work if you're, to get housing. But at the same time, I think that there's a little bit of a middle ground. But also, when you get someone free housing, right? That's expensive. Now the world works. It's not just going to be like they're going to have to take from something to be able to supply that, because that's how the world works. And so you also got to look at it in a realistic way.
Can you summarize what you just said to me in like a sentence or two? Because I feel like it's a lot of...
It is a lot, because it's not an easy solution. It's easy, but it's way more complex than people think. It's simple, but it's complex because of how people make it. Okay. To fix homelessness, you need to put money into housing and take away other services that you don't really need, like food stamps, income, right? A lot of places they have food stamps and they have money. They have a money balance. Take all that away. Free phone service. Stop paying people's phone service, right? Or what you do is you get them the bare minimum, and then they have to pay the other half for the phone service, so they can still get work.
Let me ask you this question. It's different. You've been on the street in Washington State, in Arizona, and here. You're about to...
In Cincinnati for like a couple weeks. That was garbage.
What goes on? What's Denver doing right for the homeless? Let's just start with that.
I think Denver has a lot more resources, and they put a lot more money towards it. Washington State.
What's it? Tell me. Denver puts it.
Denver puts a lot of money into the homeless, I would say. But the problem with it is you still got to work to get it. What I think is great. I do think that that's good. But unfortunately, the reason a lot of people are still in the streets is because they're not willing to work. So if they're not willing to work, then they're not going to get housing. That unfortunately, a lot of people here have the mentality of kiss my ass. Like, I don't need to kiss my ass and do everything for me. That's a very much mentality out here. And to be honest, those people, that's their choice. If they want to get housing, they need to figure it out. That's all I'm done. If that's how they're gonna be that ignorant, I think that they should be homeless because they're making that choice. They're making that choice to be homeless a lot of times. So that's another factor into it.
And is it relatively safe or relatively unsafe?
Oh, it is extremely safe. People don't. It's disappointingly safe. No, I'm joking. No, that's good.
Give me. So I keep saying, what's the it?
Oh,
Put what we're describing in the.
So, Denver is a very safe city to be homeless. There isn't really much to worry about, and that's also kind of nice. Is like I don't have to worry about anyone trying to rob me, but I'd rather have people trying to rob me than to freeze outside at the same time. So.
What are you gonna miss when you take off from here?
Honestly, probably just my friends. Everything else, it's all material things, you know. It's not worth it. But I'll miss my friends. I'm a person where I like connections. I'm gonna miss friends, but everything else, coffee maker, you know, sink, kitchen, bed. Nah, I'm not gonna miss that. And I'll get that again. I'm not, but I was thinking, for me, I was thinking about when I really figure out where I want to be, because the problem is I don't know where I want to be. And so, and I definitely want to be in San Diego, and I think I'm going to end up being there permanently. Maybe not California at least. Not sure about San Diego, but I do really like the beach. I do really like that area. I feel home because that is home. And to be honest, I don't really have family. So it's like, that's the closest I'll get to it. It makes me feel good. And I do feel better. And so I will get housing. Again, I don't plan on being on the streets forever. I don't plan on being there for a long time. But I'm gonna figure out where I'm gonna be. I'll probably get an apartment again. But I decided I'm gonna try to approach it differently. Because I do really good in apartments for about 3 months. Because I was doing really good. Then I fall off about 3 months. Because I am creative too in my head. And so when I'm stuck in one place, even though I can leave, I still feel stuck in the same place. And so I need to get even if it's literally just packing up a bag and going across the street, it's a different vibe. No matter what, it's a different vibe. It could be a different smell, they could cook different, whatever it is, and it's, at least for me, that's like crazy. It's a huge difference. So I'm gonna try to get leases that are 1 to 3 months. Pay every month or pay every 3 months, you know, instead of pay for a year. Right? I can do that, you know, because I did that in Washington State actually. I had a room down there and I would pay every month, and I did really well doing that because I didn't feel trapped. I was abused when I was younger. And so when I'm stuck on a lease, I feel like I'm selling my soul. I'm trapped. And it may sound kind of crazy, but considering everything I've been through, I feel very trapped in that setting. And so then when I feel like I'm stuck on this, then I feel like I'm stuck at work and I just fall apart. So I was deconstructing and reconstructing my life and what it would take for me to actually succeed. And if I didn't come here to Denver, I never would have really found that out about myself. Because I had to fail so many times to start understanding who I am and what I work well with. And who. Was that good?
Yeah, that was great, actually. Do you keep giving me a little bit of variety so I can cut in and out a little bit?
I want to get some like wides of the space and stuff.
I'm all down with that. But trapped.
Huh?
You used the word trap, and that
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
lands with me.
That's what I've been trying to describe all the time, but I've been having a hard time figuring it out, but now I figured it out.
Have you ever wanted or tried to get help for that trapped feeling?
Yeah. Me feeling trapped, I haven't really got help for it. I don't really think I really need help because I don't think no one can really help you but yourself, right? And so I think that's one of those things that you just gotta slowly, right? Because if I feel like I really struggle at being at a place for a year, right? Maybe it's better to build up from like feeling trapped for a month, then to go 2 months, then to go 3 months, right? Instead of just try to jump. What I do is I do something, but a lot of times what I do is I jump way too far. Like I make too much of a leap to try to go from this to this. It was like me, right? When I was in Arizona, I didn't have that much money, but I wanted to go to college. I literally applied to go to Grand Canyon University. I got accepted, right? But that's a private Christian school that is a lot of money. You see a lot of people, a lot of cars they're driving. They're driving Teslas. They're driving a lot of really nice. I don't really care about Teslas to be honest, but they're driving a lot of really expensive, pretty priced cars for a college student, right? And so I just try to jump to a luxury that is way too much. You got to do baby steps, right? You live in the hood, right? You got to jump from hood. Maybe you live in a poor neighborhood, right? You got the hood, poor neighborhood, and they live in the middle class, and they go to the rich class. You know, just move up.